Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breaker Debates. We are at episode 113. Today, we will be discussing the Tremors franchise. Here we have the legendary Narik Chase and his co host, Ken P. I don't know your last name. I'm sorry.
We'll just go with the Ken.
I mean, we're all co-hosts.
This is Madam B speaking. So, let's get started with the Tremors franchise. Okay.
I'm gonna let you lead it.
Okay. Well, first off, Tremors actually started back in the 1990 with the first film, of course, Tremors. I first seen it. Didn't know what to think of it, but all I know is I like Kevin Bacon, and he was kind of funny in there. And then after that, I didn't know anything about the sequels until later on over the years. But I just watched the first one so many times it was stupid. So it's an American monster film. All the franchise is, and really don't know what to think of how they came up with it. So if anybody want to interject here, how they came up with the Tremors.
I have no idea what they
are. I think they're like a big innate fear of snakes.
It's like a big tapeworm.
So nobody knows what exactly it is. What a tremor
is?
It
was just something they created the character just called Graboids. They didn't explain where they came from, how they came about. They just left it as that, just a new movie monster, which was actually pretty terrifying when you think about it. I mean, yeah, this thing that's cruising underground. It's huge, and has like these 5 little heads that come out and grab. That's why they call it a graboid. Snatches onto you and pulls you in, and you become dinner.
Yeah. The series basically centers around these subterranean and worm-like creatures who end up attacking. Basically, usually it's in the same location of perfection, but they're starting to branch out a bit more now. And as far as monsters, I think they're actually pretty ingenious. And I would even go far as to say it's somewhat plausible. Well, more believable.
Well, they also, as we watch the what we call the graboids, the big worms with the big biters, we find out that they, in turn, eventually will die and create what's called the... What are they called? Screechers.
Shriekers?
Shriekers. Because the graboids go by feel. They're blind. They can't see anything, so they go by feel. And most of the attacks were on the ground. And then they found one that died, and inside it had eggs. Those eggs turned into screechers, and the screechers are also blind, but they hunt by like a thermal vision. They have like a little flap that comes up on their little head, and that's how they were seeing things. But they also replicate by eating. So the more they eat, the more they replicate.
And they replicate fast.
And they replicate fast. And then we find out that eventually they adapt to kind of get around, and they are called ass blasters, which is hilarious. Because you're like, what the heck? And then basically they generate a gas. They can't actually fly, but they kind of more of they explode from their butt, and then they fly. So they don't have a true flying nature. And then I guess at that end, that's as far as they evolve, if I remember right.
Yeah, and like
no, there's another one. There's another one.
They turned back.
Yeah, there's another one. I think in the was it the last one?
Yeah, they had new variants in the last one.
Yeah, they had an albino one, and then they had one of the critters, the things in the mouth detached, and they went after people. So there's a lot. It's kind of. I mean, the movies are not meant to be serious. I mean, they do have, the first one was a very suspenseful movie because most people didn't actually even see what the creature was. You only saw like little bits of it here and there. And you didn't realize the scale of this monster.
Yeah.
It was a great suspense. And then, people are getting trapped and they're, dropping like flies. And the creature becomes smarter. It learns, it adapts. And then of course, the next movie we see evolution happen, and all these new critters are coming out doing different things, and they're strong. I mean, I think they ripped the engine out of one of these cars.
Yeah, they're pretty strong.
I mean, it was just gone, and it's because they were sawing heat. They thought it was something to eat. And the people have to learn how to get around these things. But the characters themselves, I think Bert's the one that I think carries on through the whole series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is.
Obsessed.
Yeah, he's like a crazy gunman. But the thing is, he also is tied back into this into the series, and one of the ones was it back to, I think it was the third one.
Yeah, where they made it to where it's like his ancestors settled there.
Yeah, they found out that, way back when in the 1800s, I guess it was a silver mine in the area, and that's when the Graboids kind of first showed their appearance to anybody that was there, because I guess it was the first time people had been in the area. Who knows how long they had been there? I mean, they could have been there for centuries. No one would know. And then, I guess it was his great-great-great-great-grandfather or something like that had decided to stop the Graboids, but not mention it because they wanted people to come settle there so they could actually grow and expand the town of Perfection, Nevada. And they even find creatures in Argentina. That's crazy. But the series is different. I mean, I think the creature was very original.
Yeah,
I think the evolution of the creature was original. I mean, granted, you can't take the movie seriously.
Yeah,
but it's good humor. It has good action, good suspense. I mean, as cheesy as it is, it's actually quite an enjoyable movie. Now, granted, as any with the movie, we got Tremors back in 1990, and then the movies kind of went direct to video for right after that.
Yeah.
The quality of movie is not going to be, theater grade, but it was enough. It was interesting to watch to see where the creatures went to and how they evolved and what they were going to do. So, it gave you a little bit of difference in there. But it wasn't too bad. I kind of enjoyed the series. I think there's another one getting ready to come out.
Yeah. She just notified me of it.
I think there's May of this year.
Yeah.
Called A Cold Day in Hell.
I think they're gonna try to freeze them out. That's the only way I can think of.
Yeah, because I don't understand the whole cold day. I mean, what would it say? It's set in Canada.
Yeah. It says they're getting contacts about stuff in Canada, and they think the Canadians are trying to weaponize them or something. Well, it doesn't say the Canadians. Let me just rephrase that. It just says people are being suspected that they're being weaponized. So
who in the hell would try to even weaponize these damn things?
About it. Look, it took a lot to kill that thing. The big one, it took forever to kill it.
Yeah, for like a person that's like a normal person, yeah, but if like the military got involved.
Yeah, once you get more heavier firepower in here, yeah, I can understand. Because I think one of the episodes he has like I think it's the one where they're in Argentina and he has like dual 50 cals on the back of a truck and he's just blowing them away left and right. You're slamming this thing with 50 cal rounds. It's pretty hefty firepower. Throw the military in there and up that even more. But it's a good series, and I think they could have. It's interesting how they evolve it. Now I don't know about this. This is going to be a direct-to-video version, so I hope it's interesting. Coming out on May 1st of this year.
Do you think that they had that? You ever seen the movie Dune?
Yeah, love Dune.
Do you think these creatures were like had inspiration from Dune?
Absolutely.
Because Dune, they got these giant
sandworms.
And when I say giant, they're giant.
They're huge. These things, you know what? Now that you said that, it kind of, like when you see a sandworm, it opens up a beak. It has like these 4 openings, and it's all teeth. And then these things kind of open up very similar, but inside they actually have 5 little grabber things that get you and pull you in. Kind of like they're kind of like sensory organs with teeth and pull you in. But you know what? Yeah, I would definitely say there was some inspiration from Dune And if there wasn't, there's a great coincidence of how it isn't. You're right on the money with that one. Got any sandworm pictures?
Yeah.
Well, going back to the first one, you know, they were in perfection all them years. So could the creature have been dormant and something kind of woke it up because they had they had one radio, maybe one or two radios. So maybe it couldn't have been traveling throughout all these states without anybody maybe noticing. So could have been dormant and something woke it up. That's why that is in that particular town.
They but they said that in one of the movies, I think the second movie, the woman theorized that they were prehistoric, and because some of the remains of them in certain areas were fossilized, so she theorized that these are prehistoric creatures, and I could kind of get behind that.
But you know, maybe it's the amount or the how many there were, because I think in the first movie there was 2,
3, I think.
No, it was like 4.
Well, I remember they killed one.
Yeah, one ran into
they blew up 2.
Yeah,
ran into Bert's house, so there was 4.
Yeah, so it was Bert's one that ran into that ditch thing.
Yep,
the one they blew up, and then the one that ran off the cliff.
Yep, so there was 4.
Okay.
So, but in that area, so, you know, was it the fact that the town had grown? Was it the fact that, you know, we already know based on the other third movie that they had been around a lot longer than that? Maybe it's just the fact that the area is not so populated and that their normal grounds may have run out of whatever they were eating, or perhaps they may have been in some type of hibernation. You know, we know that they seek by sound.
Yeah.
Perhaps something was drawing them, like somebody. Wasn't there somebody drilling for oil or?
That's like where the movie first picks up.
Yeah.
I think there's somebody was drilling, and that may have what had attracted them. You know, they could have been out in a far desert or whatever, and then that said, dinner time. Let's go eat.
I mean, what town like that do they actually drill like that? I mean, like, you know, small town, but they, you know, drilling. You know, how often do they drill or anything? So
exactly, they just, you know, they didn't put a lot. I mean, I wish they would have done more backstory on the critters. I mean, it's kind of hard to, but I mean, we already know that they were around for a little while at least prior to the first movie in 1990. You know, by 100 years, maybe ish, a little under 100 years.
So maybe they could have been hibernating or whatever.
Dormant.
Yeah, they could probably go dormant, and you know, the more human interactions that was going on, the more that they kind of awoken from their dormancy, I guess, or were attracted to that. Like I said, the actual sounds of the drilling. I want to ask you about the actual stories of the movies. You're supposed to be leading this, but I help out. Okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty, because you know I like to ask the questions. Which one of the movies was your favorite?
I like the first one.
I like the first one the best, because it gave you, it was suspenseful. There was that, what the heck is that? What's going on? You know, what is this thing, and what is it doing, and how many are there? And you know, you got a lot of stuff. I mean, the second one was good too, but I think the first one's what really had that capture me moment.
Because it was such an original idea.
Because it was like something completely different. We hadn't seen it. It was new. The critter was completely new. I mean, yeah, aside from the sandworms. But, you know, when that movie came out, I don't even think... I think Dune came out shortly. Maybe Dune came out after that movie. Let's go see.
You said Dune came out after it?
Yeah, 84. I'm sorry, it was 84.
I was about to say the Dune came out long before that.
Yeah, I was trying to see the time frames. There's an age difference, so sometimes I don't always catch the movies right. Like, did I see that movie or not see that movie? But yeah,
they were all decent. It's I got a little tired of Bert,
Yeah.
and because he was like so set on getting these creatures and whatever, and getting them out, and he like had information like, well, they're gonna. I see an ass blaster, but he's gonna turn into this and
I
all of
felt
that.
with the series, like what typically they do in series like that is it gets a little bit too gimmicky.
Yeah, when they go too long, we got a good starter. They wanted to capitalize on it, so they added the screechers, which was cool. Screechers were cool, and then when they started developing into ass blasters,
Yeah, the
they,
ass blast.
the humor's in there. But after that, what do you do? Excuse me, what do you do? You've already you got your first two movies out the bat. You pretty much introduced at least the varieties that we're going to expose. Now where do you go? And then they start kind of getting, adding stuff. Now we saw they're going to Argentina and they're going to Canada.
I forgot what the Shriekers looked like, and then I'm trying to figure out how they developed into the ass blasters.
The Shriekers are basic. That's you want the Shriekers?
Yeah, I got it.
Shriekers look like
right here.
There's one right there. Oh, there he goes.
I got it on the screen. Yeah. Wait.
They kind of look like.
They look like the Graboids, so they got two legs and they're small.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
they kind of look like a big chicken.
Yeah.
And then they replicate by eating like tribbles. The more they eat, they produce, and then after a while they shut down. They go kind of like to sleep, and they molt, and then they grow wings.
Yeah.
And then they basically
ass blasters.
Exactly. Yeah. They fart or whatever they do, and they just take off and glide. But it's
so
basically a flying mouth.
What made them have the thermal thing? How did that?
Evolution.
Because since they were on top of land instead of underground, they can't sense by vibration now.
They explained it as a evolutionary.
Not in a traditional sense, no. They pulled a predator.
Yeah. The species adapted. Now it's got legs. Now it's got a sensory organ on it that you can see heat. And then they even changed that into the ass blaster, where now they can be airborne and still hunt. So they just kept evolving, and then the one in Canada or something is supposed to have like detachable, like the grabbers or can take off from the main body.
That happened in part 5.
Okay, that was 5.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of a interesting idea. Because they created a bunch of variants, not a bunch of variants, but they created variants.
But there was still some left of the Graboids, because there was
it's like a cycle. One. Yeah, the Graboids become screechers, who become ass blasters, and then the ass blasters are the ones that lay the eggs of the Graboids. So it's a continuous cycle with some evolutionary changes as they, I guess, grow and adapt to their environments.
I'm on the fence about them to a certain extent, because look, I don't mind the whole evolution thing, but like there's like, if you want to go into the actual like biology and all of that stuff in the movies, they didn't really need to evolve. It just like happened. I mean, I can understand if the guys somehow trapped the Graboids in the area they couldn't get out of, then they evolved. I could kind of get behind that. But like they just evolved like for no reason. I mean, it's an interesting concept, their life cycle. But it's like at the same time, it feels like, well, it doesn't serve
that, because they were in the same
environment.
Yeah, environment. So why would they need to evolve instead of going to a different? And so that's why I'm wondering, what are they going to do when they get in the cold?
Probably develop like little hairs. Yeah.
An adaptive camouflage or they could separate in half. Who knows?
What if they do camouflage?
I mean, if they just lay there, they're basically they look like a big rock.
Yeah, but
I mean,
they
that's
stink real bad. Remember? It's like, oh my god, this thing stinks like death.
Like, man, I'm finna go chill against this rock. Then it just starts moving.
Yum 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 yum.
Then that's the interview because you got 8.
Okay. How they look? What do y'all think about how they look? As from the first one to all the way to the last one, like the Tremor worm.
Cool.
Okay, yeah,
the great design. The Shriekers, okay, fine. I wouldn't. I see. My thing is about the Shriekers and the Ass Blasters. I'd go. It'd go better for me if they were more variants than actual life cycles. Like, say, they drilled into a cave right deep underground, and you have the Graboid kinds. Then they have the Ass Blaster kinds, and they have the Shrieker kinds, but they're all variants. They're not the same life cycle, but they're variants of each other. Kind of like how you can have like birds in the same area, but they're different birds, like that. And it's kind of like, in fact, the 5th one kind of did it. In fact, they did do it. All of those, they seem more like they were different types rather than actual different forms. Yeah, if y'all catch my drift on that.
Okay.
The designs I don't really have a problem with. They all look pretty cool. They look gross too, especially those little tongue things. And I like it when you see the little tongue things come out, because you can tell it's like it's made of rubber, so you can see it kind of shake a little.
I didn't like the Ass Blasters when they lifted up their flap. That was nasty.
They did that with the Shriekers too.
You know, they lifted up their flap and then shoot fire out their ass.
Oh, that one. Ooh. Ooh, got a good point. Nasty ass. No, blasty ass.
What the heck?
I mean, like with a series like the series like this, and we've already kind of established that like everybody loves Bert and everything, but but you can't go with that same formula every movie. You know what I'm saying? Where you keep having the same character encounter these creatures, and they kind of have a reason why.
Why?
Well, maybe not the 3rd movie.
Because he's the only one that'll do it.
Because he's the one that has, I guess, more experience with it and all that. Like, okay, fine. But let's not try to go to the Predator route and have Arnold Schwarzenegger try to be in all the freaking films. He doesn't need to be in the films.
What do you mean I cannot be in my own movie?
He was serious. Bert was serious. Kevin Bacon, because they didn't know what was happening.
I mean, it was kind of a comedy, but it was, yeah, you're right, it was serious. And
and then after that, it's like
the second one was pretty serious too.
He was just
it got kind of gimmicky and goofy.
Hunting for them. And I mean, they brung in new people, but it was still what's his name?
Same formula.
Michael Gross. It was still him. So I mean,
and they kind of even did a thing where the story itself is kind of inconsistent, because in the first movie, that's the first time humanity has supposedly ever seen those things. And then the 3rd movie, of course, they go to the Wild West in the same exact.
Was the 4th one.
The 4th one, yeah. In the 4th one, they go to the Wild West, and they met the creatures there before, but there's no record of them. Okay, and then of course in the 5th one, it's in Africa, and they supposedly in Africa have seen these creatures before, but it's like, no, in the first movie you established that these things this the first time you've ever seen them.
Yeah, like no one's seen them, no one's talked about them. They're like out of nowhere, and the next thing you know, they're like everywhere.
Yeah, I could kind of understand that they had a better reasoning behind it, such as like in the 5th movie, they had the guys that was trying to capture the eggs and stuff, which they all got screwed over. I kind of understand if one of those guys got an egg from perfection or whatever, took it to Africa, it hatched, they escaped. Okay, now you got them in Africa. Okay, that's a better story. But just have them pop up in Africa after they said specifically that these creatures, in fact, in 2 movies, established that they had never seen these creatures before. That's kind of a stretch.
Okay, well, besides Bert, and then we talked about we'll get back to on that. Were any of the characters worth like talking about besides Bert?
They were disposable.
To be honest, I cannot. Besides his stupid ass son in the fifth one,
I actually liked them.
In the first one, yeah, it had some good ones. I really couldn't think of.
Yeah, the first one had the most memorable characters. The second one, the lady was pretty cool. That dude was annoying as hell. The young guy, because he's like one of those characters that makes the movie hard to take serious because of him. The third one, the girl, okay, her uncle got ate in the first movie, so she came back. She was kind of a decent character. We're gonna brush past the fourth one because I don't remember.
Well, they brought one back in the was it third or fourth one?
No, yeah, he was in the third one and he got killed.
It wasn't Melvin. Was it Melvin?
The Mexican dude.
Yeah, the Melvin and the other dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and Mindy when she was growing up.
Yeah.
But that's what I said. I couldn't remember. Because
the dude, the one that was annoying in the first one. Yeah, he was all grown up. Yeah. That right there.
Yeah, it was Melvin and then Nestor. No, not Nestor.
The mom too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got brought back too.
Brought back, she didn't die.
I mean,
oh, she came back. I just really had no memorable character. The first movie is the only characters I remember. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's Bert. You'll remember because he's in every movie.
Yes.
But I mean, that's it. I mean, that's it. No one else. Everybody else was expendable. They're basically graboid food.
I think when it comes to the graboids and everything, I think the best, and this is my thing with the graboids, I treat Tremors like I treat Resident Evil. If these things going to be worldwide or whatever, fine, I'm all for that. But not every incident, one of the main characters from the series need to show up. Mm-hmm. That was one of the problems I had with the fourth movie. That was one of the problems I had with the fifth movie. I like Bert and everything. It's cool. And I would give it to him, at least in the fifth movie, they had a better reason for him to be in the movie. And so like what you said, I actually liked the son. I thought he was pretty cool. But it was like but their presence took away from the other characters. The only memorable character in that movie was probably that African woman with the bow and arrow, who looked like Sheva Alomar from Resident Evil 5.
Okay. Okay. So, what about the town perfection? You remember they in the fourth one, it was called, what was it called?
Rejection.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Yep. That's why I thought it was funny. I was like, rejection. Nobody wants to go there.
It was one character from the fourth movie that I loved. He had the best scene in that movie.
And who was that?
That mercenary guy.
Okay.
And this is the most memorable moment in the movie. When he got ate. That was hilarious. He talked all that trash about being the expert gunslinger and could kick butt, and the Graboid showed up and ate him. That was hilarious.
All right. Perfection is a small town, but from what we've seen of Tremors, it's like that was like 10 people in that town. Any what government or whatever, they probably would have came and shut it down and put something on there. So it should have been like more people, and they should have like all got together and done it instead of them. What, 7? I don't know how many it was.
Like 7.
So that was the thing about that one. I didn't, because it was like how many people were in that town, and then it should have been at least for that town to stay, for everything to keep coming in, populated or whatever. It should have been at least 100 people.
I don't like the fact, and this never sat well with me. Why in the hell did they stay there?
What was it that kept them there, you mean?
Yeah, I'm like, what
It was
was it?
basically a desert.
No,
Yeah.
not because of the desert, but these creatures live there, and they
Yeah, okay,
continuously pop up, and
Yeah,
they eat people.
after the Tremors and he went back to perfection, they were still there.
Like even in aftershocks. Okay, in the first movie, you got rid of them. Fine. The second
So you
movie,
thought-
it's understandable that they're still there. Fine. The third movie, they should have moved out. There should be no human beings living
They
there.
should have marked that area unsafe. Get away. Don't go there.
Yeah,
No trespassing.
let the creatures have that area because they can't leave it until convenience worked its way into the plot.
Until they went to Africa.
Yeah.
Let's go to Africa.
And we just so happen to have Graboids.
But I'm like, it's like, why do you still stay here? How many people? It's like you moved there to die. I don't know why.
Basically, yeah.
And it'd be different if they were in like the mountainous area, and you could, and like the dude had like a tour guide thing going through it. It'd be different if they had moved the town itself to like into the rocky area, so the rocks can cover them and everything.
Yep.
But no, they literally stayed in the exact same area, which the first movie established they have no problem getting through.
Right.
Nope.
There was like nothing in that town to. That's what I'm saying. For that many
why was
people,
the town
like,
there in the first damn place, other than the fact that in 1896 there was a silver mine there?
I think it was like a dying town. Like it was like a gold mining town, like a big city a big town at one place for like mining and stuff. But usually those type of towns, they get to shrinking and shrinking and shrinking after a while.
Yeah.
Like they had to been there for a while.
Yeah, but then well, you know how the system and the government works. Okay, we need everybody out this town. We're gonna either do something here, put something here.
That was
a nuclear bomb.
But they wasn't like they didn't have like a really good reason to even be there if you think about it.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like for the movie to make sense, it just took 7 people instead of like, okay, it comes into this town where 100 or so people is at, eats a couple of them, disrupts their way of living, if however they live in that town.
Start solving the mystery of the missing people. Now what's going on?
So, and they want, okay, well, we, as a town, if we got to protect our town, and we need to get rid of these damn monsters. No,
I'm tired of these mamma jamma worms in this mamma jamma desert.
But no,
I
it wasn't none of that.
Worms
So,
in the desert.
like 10 people in that whole town, so that's why I have a little problem with that.
But like I said, if you think about it in that aspect, like it kind of makes sense. It was and then the fourth movie kind of reinforces that because they were mining for gold or something.
Yeah, but they were not doing it then.
In where?
Well, were they mining? Were they going to work in the mines and the Tremors?
Oh, you talking on that? And that's why I said it was a dying town. That's how dying towns go.
Okay, but then it should. You know what they were trying to do?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
And me agree with her before she feed me to the local Tremor.
The Graboid got you. He's got me.
Okay. I don't know. Okay, Ken, what did you say that the Cold Day in Hell was going to be about, or if you read anything on it?
It basically said that there was some type of situation going on in the Canadian North, and that the story plot was basically the thought of weaponizing Graboids. Basically, kind of what it said about it.
That would be.
Well, I mean, we know they can burrow underground. They can tunnel. It takes a lot of firepower to stop them. And if you don't know they're coming, and you set them, somehow figure out how to, like we train dolphins to plant mines on boats. Think about releasing a group of these things. It'd be like Jurassic Park, where they were supposed to feed them that enzyme or whatever to keep them alive. If they didn't get it, they died.
Yeah.
They could take some of those Graboids and a bunch of those shriekers because of their ability to eat through metal and surface. Throw them loose on an area, they populate by overfeeding them, and then they stop feeding them that nutrient, they die. But of course, we know how that's going to work out, just like Jurassic Park did.
Okay, so Bert is in this one too, and his son.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And I'm reading it's like they're weaponizing, like you said, and then he gets sidelined by Graboid venom.
When do the Graboids get venom?
And
It's
then
got to be a venom.
They just ate you flat out.
Think about it. What if the tongue things have the venom in it? Because think about what if you get like
a detachable kind.
No, it's more like the small ones. Because if they're biting you, if they bite you, that'll help immobilize you.
Okay,
just like a predator would anywhere else.
Yes.
But then how would we know? Because when the tongues come out, they grab you and pull you in. So are they as far as I've seen, they're pulling you in and they're not biting.
Good point. Well, sometimes some of the time you see them bite, and then most of the time you see them grab. Hey, look at this picture I put right here. You see that, kid?
Goosebumps.
R.L. Stein came up with Graboids.
Let
Let me stop goofing around. I figured out how to do this, and I'm just being a dummy. But
fun.
Look, I don't. The venom is okay. I can get behind that kind of.
Okay, they said Bert gets shot with the venom, and they said the only hope is to create an antidote from fresh venom. So someone got to figure out how to milk a graboid.
Wait.
That's exactly what it said too.
Yes.
From what I can tell, then that makes it seem like people in Canada have dealt with graboids before.
Okay.
Because think about it, how would they know that wasn't there a time limit?
48 hours to live.
How would they know that?
Good question.
So yeah.
And okay, so what are they doing? How are they? What do you call that? To weaponize them? What are they leading them with fresh meat?
That's the question of the hour.
I don't know what they're doing with them. This is what I wish they would do. I wish they would take a book out of Deep Blue Sea, have some facility set in the ground, set in the ground, let the Graboids travel through its the facilities messing up, and they got to get to the surface before the Graboids can eat them. I can get behind that.
Well, so after, of course we're gonna watch it. Then of course we're gonna talk about it.
And if it's mad, I'm gonna rant.
But it's just. I mean, like you said, so have they actually dealt with them? Like so many other people said they've dealt with them. And okay, how do they look? Are they furry or are they regular?
Mm-hmm.
Did they take an egg to Canada or did they burrow themselves into Canada? So yeah.
Okay. With the ass blasters, I can understand them being there because they're generating that kind of heat, that kind of chemical, and you see the fire come out their butt to fly. Okay, they could probably survive in the cold environment. I can kind of give them that. Why in the hell anybody would weaponize these damn things? They got to give me a good ass reason. The only weaponizing I can see with them doing is if it's a country that's made of like it's like a desert, and you drop off and you drop off. Okay, you got knocked out?
Mm-hmm. You got him back?
No, not yet. Sorry guys, Ken got knocked out. We're gonna try to go ahead and get him back.
But yeah. Then it was like, okay, so do they get an egg? Let's just say they got an egg. We know how you're still going, right?
Yeah.
We know how the Tremors, the burrow underground. So you can't train them. We know how the ass blasters and the shriekers work. So let's just say they got an egg. You can't keep it sedated long enough to train it. You can't do that. You can't just weaponize if you would call that a creature. Let's just say that a creature like that, unless they because even if they were to trap them in some kind of big building facility, what are they gonna do? No. I'm even like
the only way they could, like I said, the only way they could weaponize these things is put it in the area of its enemies in its natural environment. Say if they were going to war in like in the Middle East or something, you drop some eggs over there. What happens? They can with the sand and stuff and the dirt and all that, they can deal with that. Like I can understand that. This is where they should have went with it. This is where they should have went with it. They should have went where people.
An update got them because it popped up on her too. I just said it for another time.
Oh, okay. Because I know last night while I was uploading, trying to upload, this computer shut off.
Yeah, it's update.
Okay.
Okay, what you saying?
The only way that they could spin this, to me, in my opinion, is if they had people got stuck in like a mine shaft in the caverns and stuff, and the Graboids were down there. That would make sense to me. Like in that movie, The Descent,
okay,
or something like that. It'll make more sense because they even brought it up in the fourth movie. They was in the cave. Like that makes more sense.
But that still don't mean like okay, people they're taking them and they're weaponizing them. How? So I mean, I don't think there's a way they can do that, and they have to get them long enough to get the venom because they got venom now. So, like I said, they keep them sedated, get the venom, and he had to make fresh venom out of a Graboid. Is it a Graboid?
I guess one of the variants.
They said deadly giant worm attacks.
Maybe it's something new. But King got kind of bumped out by his computer in these updates. I can't stand updates. I really can't.
He said laptop time.
Yeah. But okay, this is okay. This kid is young master. Okay, we already talked about the favorite movies, and we already talked about the favorite characters. Are there any memorable moments? I mean, there's several memorable moments.
Well, to me, and the first one, of course, when he, of course, at the end, when Kevin Bacon was running, and then he jumped, and then he was like, "Can you fly, sucker? Can you fly?" I like that. That was good. That was a good one to me. And okay, wait, which one was it? Okay, Bert. He had bought a whole bunch of little toy cars.
Yeah, right? That was the second one.
And he was just blowing them up, and he was like having fun. It was like, how many did he blow up? It had to be like.
It was they had a whole montage, so it was hard to tell.
Yeah, okay, it could have been seen over about 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah, like that was pretty cool. I did like the scene where they tried to what was it? Earl and the second one. Earl and that dumb guy were trying to blow something up. And then one, like it was a radio or something on the ground. Yeah, it was a radio on the ground. And he went to go turn it off, and then the Graboid jumped up in front of him, ate the radio, and then landed on a chain that was in the back of the truck. And then you get this kind of funny sequence where it's dragging the truck backwards. And he's like, he's dragging the truck. He's like, I know. And he's trying to hit the brake and everything, but he can't.
Oh, okay. Okay. What about when you said it was like how did it happen? The Graboid came all the way up off the ground, twisted, and went right back up in the ground.
Oh, yeah, when it ate that guy.
Yeah. It
like literally twisted, jumped up in the twist, ate the guy, and went right back. And I was like, there is no way in hell you could do that.
Because wouldn't he have got squished because the ground was hard? Or I don't know.
I mean, he ate him, but it's like he
made another hole in the ground.
True. It wasn't even just that. It was like that creature could not have done that. It literally calculated where the guy was several feet away from and landed straight on top of him. Like that part. I mean, it was cool, but it was like it wasn't plausible. Like even in the third movie, Bert should have technically died because remember that Graboid ate him. I mean, he was in the barrel, and you know he was talking about he was losing air.
Yeah.
I mean, I could kind of get behind that because of the barrel. Now, remember in the fifth movie when that one guy got sucked out that helicopter, he should have died.
Okay.
I understand they made it seem like he shot his way out, but it's like, how would you have the room to move like that? Because when you're in a creature like that, its muscles and its body are like pressing down on you.
Yeah.
Compressing.
Yeah,
so it's like
snake.
You can't move and So I didn't really like that one. The variants I thought were pretty all right. I wish they would have did a little bit better with them because all they did was, "Are you back, Ken?"
Yes, I'm back.
All right, cool.
Golly, that sucked. You couldn't have timed that any worse.
I got mine out the way last night.
Ugh. I was sitting there and I was like, I got bumped, and then I was like, then my computer rebooted. And I'm like, I guess I didn't get bumped. So whoop out with the notebook, folks. Always have a backup.
Yeah, we were actually because we didn't talk about the series or games or anything, but
how long did the series even go? I vaguely remember a series.
It was one season, 13 episodes.
Yeah, I don't even think I watched that. I think I may have caught the first episode and then just kind of, done.
I just caught the one part where Vivica Fox got ate. That was hilarious. Goodbye, Frankie. You got
the red shirts of
make a series out of that.
The series could have evolved. We could have seen much more variety of creature in the series. If they had carried it on, but I think they just they went so much direct to video and burned it out so fast that I just kind of lost interest in it. I mean, I saw the first 3, and then I was done. I didn't really feel like getting into it anymore. I've caught bits of 4, but you gotta be able to keep a franchise alive, and that's the problem that you ran into with this series. Is I think they got too gimmicky and tried too hard.
Yeah. The television series would have worked out like this if they combined the first movie and the second movie together. Make it be over a couple of day period. Yes, give us some exposition on the characters and stuff, but make it to where people were disappearing. They didn't know what the hell was happening, and then probably say like the first half of this. It was gonna be 13 episodes. Okay, cool. First half, people are disappearing. And you get your introductory to your characters. The second half, they're trying to survive. That would have made it a better series. Like, say, like Bert and them are stuck in their house. They're stuck at their house. They realize that they can't get out. They can't leave the traditional way. So they dedicate perhaps an episode to them trying different techniques on how they're trying to leave their house. Because remember, their house was like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they were out in jack squat middle of nowhere, period.
See, that's how a television series would have worked better for the movies.
Well, I guess they didn't think like that. It got canceled. Game got canceled, and they had a browser game tie-in called Dirt Dragons.
Wow.
Dirt Dragons? Really?
The only game I can see them spinning off of this, and I have to say it, Telltale. They're the only people that can spin the actual game off of this, where your decisions affect if other people live or die to some extent. Like, could you see that?
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I'm playing Jurassic Park. They didn't even get. They said the game was quietly canceled because I guess they saw a little piece of it. The director was like, "You better turn this shit
Nope."
It's like with a game like that, it's hard to make.
Now,
but it has to be like I said, Telltale. It has to be a narrative-driven choice-based story. Every choice
they
you
give
make,
you like a character, series of characters. You pick one to play with. Yeah, it's like you want to play as either have a maybe Bert or Earl,
or either have somebody new,
Val, or that girl from the first one.
Like this will be a
episode.
This will be a sequence. You're trying to get from A to B, but you have to cross a stretch of land. Now, you know in Telltale, they have those moments where you have to be very quiet or your alert meter gets up and stuff. Like what there's a part where you try to walk across a patch of land and you have to be extremely quiet because the more noise you make, the more that
right, like the game starts shaking, the controller starts shaking, and then you have to either backtrack and try to find another way, or you
have to stop
jump
and
over a rock or something like that.
And every little like that would be good. That'd be cool.
The pole vaulting they did, you have to get a pole and pole vault to where you're to your destination.
Yes,
and if you fall, you get 8.
Yeah, you get 8. Walking Dead style.
Delicious.
I
love that.
But as far as a series go, I think if they would have stretched the first movie out, it'd been better. Like when I say stretch it out, like have the different characters interact, find out about the creatures. Like say Bert and his wife found out about a creature and they're stuck where they're at having to deal with one. Earl and Kevin Bacon character, they're in another area stuck. Like the pole vaulting thing, like you said, they're stuck. They're trying to deal with it. The people in the town are trying to deal with it. Like they're trying to deal with, 3 different situations. Like that would make sense in the series, and it'll make the series. It'll make it a little bit more serious. Yeah, you can have the fun moments, but it'll make it more serious.
You could.
Didn't think of that.
Or different, dealing with a different variation of. One gets the Ass Blaster, one gets the worm, or the Graboid, one maybe I don't know, the flying the screechers. They got a bunch of screechers running around. Each an evolution of the other, but all being treated differently because the screechers you have to hide your body heat, keep them away from food. The Ass Blasters still sensed by heat, but it's an airborne potential that you might get attacked by. And of course the Graboids were the motion or the ground sensing, each with a different challenge, each with a different problem, each with a different group of people, and eventually all coming together to find the source and get rid of it, or try to at least eliminate. They may just eliminate them all together, get them all together, just them all. Who knows?
Yeah, take that
possibility. Many options.
But we have to end it.
Yes, it's time to end our Tremors venture today, folks.
Did you want to carry us out, or you want me to do it?
You can go ahead. I was trying to. You can go ahead.
All right then, guys. Thank you again for enjoying another video with us. We were just talking about the Tremors film series as well as the television series, even though we didn't really get into it in the games.
The game's canceled.
Well, there would have been, could have been games, but they got canceled. But anyways, in the comment section below, let us know what you thought about the Tremors series. Which one of the movies was your favorite? Who were your favorite characters? Best moments? What they could have did with a potential better series? Also, the reboot that they're working on for this year, as well as what they could have done with a video game. Be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and the notification button to get the best of what's going on this channel. And remember, guys, Tuesdays and Thursdays, videos will be uploaded. So prepare for more awesomeness from us. And to the next video, Narik, Madam B, and Ken will say, howdy do.
Bye.